everybody, this is Tulip.
And this is Cassidy.
And we are here with Season 2, Episode 11 of Preacher, Backdoors.
And you're the smart one is busy, so you're all I've got left. I loved that line.
I'm going to tell you, I have seen monkeys in heat with more grace and more dignity.
Oh, that's funny.
There were some good lines in this episode.
There were some very good lines, and I think we've kind of had a little bit of a return to the whole funny signage.
Right! You saw the sign that I texted you about.
I saw the sign. Did you see the other ones?
No! Oh, good.
All right.
Good, we have good stuff for our word.
We have good stuff.
Well, but in spite of that, we both just agreed that we didn't particularly like this episode.
Yeah, I know.
So
the only redeeming quality about this episode is that we had some backstory and we learned a few things.
And good lines and good signage.
And good lines and signage. Yeah.
So, what was your rating?
My rating was 3.3 reel-to-reel prayers.
I like it. So, mine was 2.87 out of 5 messianic morons.
Ooh, that is low.
I know, it was harsh. I told you, I think this is probably my least favorite episode of Preacher.
You know, I was actually just going through all of my notes and my ratings for previous episodes, and I think I rated something a 3.2 one time, but holy moly, I don't know if I've ever gotten down to the 2s.
Well, and I'm just going to get it out of the way before we go any further. Their obsession
with backdoors.
With violent negative depictions of backdoors, for lack of a better description, since this is a PG podcast. It's almost too much for me.
Well, and it's funny because I actually wrote down in my notes that there was a lot of things going in and out of back doors on this episode.
Right?
There was keys, there was films, there was people escaping from hell.
Yes.
I mean, it was all about the back door.
Well, and so we may as well talk about the title, because those are exactly all of the things that I wrote down for the title. Escape from Hell, a bad plan for key storage, and Hairstar's unfortunate episode with Jesse.
Yeah.
And just, I'm not a prude. I think people probably have figured that out, but it was too much.
Yeah, there's subtle funniness, and then there's over the top in your face, and we're getting really, really close to that line.
Yeah, I don't like Hairstar. He's not exactly my favorite person. I don't like Hairstar being repeatedly violated. And I'm not quite sure why the obsession with this particular type of violation, but... Right.
Especially with his character, you know, like, he's not the most sympathetic guy, but... Yeah.
So, I do have some numbers. I actually have quite a few numbers that are not ours and are not part of the Biblical Numerology Hour. So, Preacher actually did pretty good this week.
Does that have anything to do with the previous episode?
Could, possibly. So, this episode originally aired on August 28th of this year. Yes, we are that behind. It was 13th for the week in Live Plus 7.
She said behind.
I did. So on the same day views, it only had 898,000, which is, they didn't even break 1 million on the same day views. But they went up to 1.895 million in Live Plus 7, which was 111% increase with ratings when you took the DVR into account.
Wow.
So
Thank you, 1 million moms.
Right? and just so you know, they did beat out the Real Housewives of New York City, but they were still bested by the Real Housewives of Orange County.
That's because those OC wives are cray. They're like Jersey wives. They're not as awesome as Alaskan wives,
right?
But they're like Jersey wives.
Yeah, whoop whoop, Phil Parrish. It's the Real Housewives of Alaska. Thank you for listening, Phil. Because he's like the one person that I now know listens with any consistency.
once in a while, especially when I do my Sarah Palin voice.
The unofficial ringleader of 1 Million Moms. Okay, so just a quick trip through who the director and writer were. So we talked about the writer before. I will not belabor her. Her name is Sarah Goodman. She was also the writer for Monster Swamp and Damsels. And I do have to say, Monster Swamp was probably one of my favorite episodes looking back.
Yeah, me too.
So good on you, Sarah Goodman. Director was a guy named Norberto Barba. I hope I'm saying his name right.
Easy for you to say.
Right. So this is the first episode that he's done for Preacher, and it looks like the only episode he did for this season. He's got tons of producer, writer, and actor credits. He's got directing credits for The Strain, which I think you said you were watching, right?
I love The Strain. I think it is ending this season. In fact, I think the season finale has aired, but I just have not watched it. But I absolutely love The Strain. I'm a total, like, it's very John Carpenter-y, and I love that whole horror genre. So, yeah, The Strain is a big thumbs up in my book.
Well, there you go. Your man, Norberto Barba. Ugh. He's also got credits for things like CSI, Law & Order SVU. So he's got quite a number of credits on his IMDb page.
Cool.
So you know you're scraping the barrel when your featured cast member is...
The Garden Hell?
No, but that's funny. No, I actually chose the kid who is playing young Jesse.
Oh, that was my second choice. That's
there
so
you
funny.
go. So
okay, the only reason why I chose the Garden Hell is because he's a WWE wrestler. And he is a political commentator on Fox News sometimes. So that is a very interesting combination.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that?
He's a WWE wrestler?
And a commentator on Fox News?
He is. He's a frequenter of Greg Gutfeld's program.
Hi, Brian. Who probably doesn't listen.
I don't know if Greg Gutfeld has like a catchy name for a show or anything, but he's a frequent commentator on Greg Gutfeld shows under his WWE moniker. He doesn't go under his name, which is George Murdoch.
I was going to say, so this bastion of political wisdom is who?
Tyrus? Tyrus?
That's his WWE name?
That's his WWE name. Yes.
Alrighty
his
then.
real name is George Murdoch. He was such an imposing figure. When he was walking Eugene through one of the doors, I was like, I don't think Eugene's that small of a guy. And this dude, Guard, is like huge. So I did kind of look him up, but yeah, that my choices were either young Jesse or Garden Hell.
Well, thank you for enlightening us about Garden Hell. That was very interesting.
Plus, he's got some really sweet ink.
Okay, I will have to go back and look at him for his ink, but I will have to be very honest and somewhat political and say I probably will not catch any of his political commentary.
Yes, that's actually why that caught my eye, is because I'm not a big Fox News watcher. So I was like, political commentator, what? And then I clicked on it and I'm like, I
wonder how he felt about the Million Moms and their tirade against Preacher.
Yeah, no, like I'm curious now. I'm going to have to like go YouTube him or something to see like some of his, what he makes a statement on. Cause I mean, you never know. It could be something that I kind of maybe sort of agree with, you know?
He could be the token liberal.
Yeah, he could be the token liberal.
Doubtful.
The Real Alaskan Housewives, of course, are you know, pretty pro Second Amendment. So, I mean, you know, we could have some stuff in common with him. You never know.
You never know.
People.
I have to say, I was telling Bri yesterday because he was dissing me for having some commentary on Eminem on my Facebook page, this election season has made for strange bedfellows.
It has.
I am fangirling Richard Painter, who was the ethics lawyer for the George W. Bush administration. Strange bedfellows.
Strange bedfellows. Well, I have people all over the political spectrum on my Facebook page, and whether I like what they post or not, I just keep scrolling. I don't post a lot of political stuff on my own. I won't be divided like along that line. Like, I absolutely love that person because they're super generous and they're a great mom and they, run this local charity and like, no, you know what? This election aside, like, I love that person and I won't let it divide me. So
you kind of get your fill from me anyway.
I do. Tulip is my echo chamber.
Tulip is knitting a Star Wars motif hat right now. It's pretty freaking cool.
I'm totally looking to be Rey for Halloween.
Oh, very good. I think I told you what I bought for Halloween.
You did.
My Slinky skeleton dress.
Yeah. I'm so going to have to explain my costume to my coworkers again. God.
That's a bummer.
I know. Although, as Rey, I kind of would like him to guess.
It's kind of tragic that you work in an office of adults and they don't know who Rey is.
Okay, but to be fair, if I dressed as Leia, they would totally know who I was. They're just not up on the times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, Dominic Ruggieri?
Is that young Jesse's name?
Young Jesse. I'm steering us back. So this kid, I'm not quite sure how old he is, but he's playing Jesse around the age of 10.
Yeah.
He is a California native. He actually already is part of a comedy improv group, and he regularly takes classes at an LA acting school.
And I really think he is a dead ringer for a young Jesse.
He's a pretty good young Jesse.
Yeah.
His first acting job was at the age of 5.
Yeesh.
He got a role in Annie. And he's got credits for 6 episodes of Preacher, the first being the pilot, although he was not credited by name in that episode.
Huh.
The other thing that I thought was kind of cool is that his little sister is a national junior Olympic medalist in gymnastics.
And he's already taller than me.
You're really that short? Because I saw how tall he was.
He is 5'4" and 1/4.
Oh, I looked at an old page then because they had 5 foot even, and I was like, really? You're that short?
On his IMDb page, he is 1.54 meters. He is 5 foot and 1/4. I am 5 foot without heels, which I always wear heels.
Wow. It must really be hard to reach the cabinets.
There's a lot of like step stools in my house, and you'll always see me like standing on my cabinets, and
just don't stand on the rolly chair.
My other half is 6'1", so if that gives you any, that's why I'm like always in heels. Like I have friends whose significant others are like the same height or slightly shorter, and like their men are very insecure, and the women are not like allowed to wear more than a kitten heel, which is under 3 inches. And not me. I've got like stripper shoes to last me till the apocalypse.
So I love that you would know what a kitten heel is. Thank you for enlightening our listenership. And I would just like to say that Greg Brown, who is an awesome folk singer, would call you and James a cool couple in Iowa because you're so short and he's so tall. All right, let's go into our good news. The gospel.
I have a dirty joke.
You have a what?
I have a dirty joke about that.
Oh, no.
There's 13 inches between us, and I'm talking vertically, not horizontally.
This is supposed to be PG.
It is PG.
Right.
They wouldn't know. I didn't swear.
And we did open up with talking about backdoors, as it were. So.
Backdoors.
All right, so what was your good news?
I
I had a hard time finding one.
No, I know I hated on her so badly when she first started. I love Flufferman.
Which one is that?
Laura Featherstone.
Oh, Featherstone. I was like, what?
When she came into the room and
yeah.
When Harris Starr was like, Hoover, Flufferman.
Right. And she's like,
Okay, if you don't, this is a PG-13 podcast. If you do not know what a fluffer is, turn off Google Safe Search and Google fluffer. Go for it.
We'll wait. So
I just absolutely loved Laura. Like when they went into the to have the guns smelted down.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah. That whole scene with her where she turned it from like, I'm so sweet and innocent and I'm going to do this for you.
She initially grossly propositions the dude and then she said,
have the place shut down.
Yes. Although I think Tulip was impressed.
Okay, so how did Laura Featherstone start teaching our Tulip bad things?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought Tulip knew all the bad things.
All the things.
All the things. Like, yeah. And so I absolutely love Laura Featherstone in this episode. I know she's been mine for a past couple of episodes. And she did kind of annoy me with her, like, she overly sucks up.
Yes, she does.
Star sometimes, and it's irritating. But the smelting factory absolutely made up for it. I want, like, just like the Fear the Walking Dead, I want the Alicia Diana show. I want the Featherstone Tulip show. Like, they would be a great, like, modern day Cagney and Lacey, you know?
Speaking as Tulip, I'm not sure I'd want to hang out with her that long.
Why?
She's kind of not my favorite.
Oh.
I think maybe because as Jenny, she's just a little too annoying. Because she's so sweet. Except when she's threatening smelters.
But that's the thing is she totally turns on a dime and like her facial expression doesn't change from like that manic pixie dream girl housewife, you know, to like, I'm going to mess your world up.
So what you're saying is you're kind of Laura Featherstone.
I like the crazy. Yeah. The crazy does it for me. Yeah. So, yeah, Laura Featherstone was my good. I loved her scenes in this episode, and especially the one at the smelters.
Very cool.
What was yours?
Well, mine was the dog. Or if you look at the anagram or the reverse of dog, God!
God! Okay, wait. Did you love the dog in the basement, or did you love Dennis's new dog?
I just kind of dug the whole dog imagery. I mean, I wrote down God, the man dog, the drawings that Humperdew did, and Dennis's puppy, who of course was very cute. And I'm not happy because I know Dennis is going to kill that puppy. Okay,
I thought that, like, I seriously thought in the beginning that Dennis was going to kill, but I'm okay with Dennis having a puppy. I think he really just craves the constant attention and adoration from the puppy.
I don't know, man. I really think it's going to be bad.
I really think that he's just draining prostitutes after dark, and the puppy is, like, totally his.
Really?
Yeah, no, I think he's draining hookers when it gets dark.
You know, I'm really scared. I actually really think that Dennis is going to kill the puppy, number one, and number two, as I've said before, I'm completely convinced that Cassidy is going to wind up having to kill Dennis.
I know, and yeah, that was in my notes this week too.
Yeah, it's just not pretty. It's just not pretty.
Yeah.
So going back to my good news, it was definitely dogs. And so I kind of looked up the symbolism of dogs because I thought, well, maybe there's something deeper. There's actually not. So they stand for loyalty and vigilance, and they're rarely referred to as negative. But there are some negative stereotypes about dogs. They can be considered cunning. There's the idea of the dogs of war. There's the phrase sick as a dog, which comes from the idea of a dog being so gross that it returns to eat its own vomit. So, you know.
That sucks.
Yeah. So, anyway, the dog. That was my good news.
The dog.
Yeah.
Did you put it together before that?
I did not.
I didn't either, and I don't know why, because the drawings that Humperdew did were pretty spot on.
No pun intended.
Are we funny?
So I have to say that I didn't put it together because I really don't think of a lost god as someone who's locked in a basement in a dog suit performing sex acts.
Right.
But,
yeah.
You know.
What was the word that Herr Starr used? He's become disenfranchised.
Disenchanted.
Yeah.
He's disenchanted.
Disenchanted. Yeah. I think maybe the Pope was onto something when he said he was off to make a new creation with 10-foot tall honey badgers. Whatever the heck that was.
Ew. Yeah. All I have to say is ew. So what was your Job?
You know, I don't have a lot of bad this episode. It was just a very meh episode. So my bad really was like Dennis is turning bad. I mean, he is souring.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was his upbringing, his lack of Cassidy being a father, or if there's a certain age limit that you shouldn't turn a vampire, or, you know, when Cassidy called the cabal of vampires for advice, and they were like, basically, what's his temperament? Can he handle it? And I think, of course, Cassidy had blinders on at that point, and he just didn't want his son to die. And I really, we're setting it up where something really, really awful is going to happen at the hands of Dennis.
Yes.
At the fangs of Dennis.
Yes, I think so. And as I've said, I think that's going to put Cassidy in a really, really miserable place.
It is, because Cassidy will step up to do it, but it's going to haunt him for the rest of his days.
Yeah. And
my heart breaks for the man. So that whole scene where Dennis is talking about Tulip after she left, and he's like, why don't you take her? That's what we do, And
he was not talking about taking her as in developing a relationship with her.
No, not at all. And then Cassidy was kind of looked at it and was like, give me the dog. And Dennis is like, no,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my heart is already breaking for Cassidy, and I don't even own a crystal ball. Like, it's coming, and it's not going to be good.
No, I agree.
It's not going to be satisfying in any level. It's not. It's all going to be bad.
I agree.
Yep.
Well, my Job is kind of about Cassidy, but it's more about the fact that Tulip and Cassidy have finally gotten pushed to the point where they're giving Jesse the boot.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and Dad are fighting again, and Mom and Dad have involved Cassidy this time.
Mm-hmm. And they, nobody's happy. And nobody is sparing each other's feelings.
I agree. And I think that we're going to get to a place where everything's okay and the trio is back together? Yeah, I do.
Of course.
I think that things are going to get uglier before they get better.
Yeah.
Definitely. Who knows? Maybe the tragedy with the impending tragedy with Dennis will be the thing that brings them back together.
we were so close to God. Like, it could have brought us back together, you know? And so I'm wondering if the whole we're going to have to behead Dennis in daylight or whatever, and then we find God.
I don't know. You know, I haven't read far enough ahead in the comics to know how the search for God plays out. So I don't even have a prediction. And with the speculation that we may be looking at season 3 as the wrap-up season, I can't speculate. I don't know.
Yeah. Me either.
Well, so what was your revelation?
We're back in hell. I just, you know, I'm a little disappointed in hell in that we didn't really see too much new.
Except Tyrus, the guard.
He's been there.
Who apparently has really good ink.
So we're back in hell. Like we are escaping from hell at this point, through the back door.
Right.
And I thought it was funny. So what was your feelings rolling through all of those little, like, I don't know, Rorschach slides with like kittens and puppies, and then people in mental institution with dolls.
And the goats in the tree.
And the goats in the tree.
Well, the goats in the tree gave me Doug PTSD. So,
oh,
for those who don't know, Doug is our rescue goat, who is a cashmere goat. He's a bully, and my husband has taken to calling him, excuse me, this is our one swear word for the podcast, the fat bastard. So yeah, I had a little bit of Doug trauma, but I don't know. I don't know what those slides were all about.
So I found it funny that they flipped through the slides for, I think his name is Tyler.
Yes, Tyler.
And then they flipped through the slides for Pearls. And then they flipped through the slides for Eugene. And it was
Eugene
funny.
was the only one who was reacting.
So a couple of episodes ago, Pig, when we were in the Vietnamese village with the flying pig.
Right.
And there was sort of the inside joke where the little boy was wearing the Falcons Super Bowl champion shirt.
Yeah.
And the Falcons actually didn't win the Super Bowl. And it was kind of a nod to the fact that we send all of our textiles, you know, our cast-off textiles to other countries. At the end of Eugene's, Eugene's, correct?
Eugene, our space.
Yeah, our space. At the end of his slideshow, they showed, I'm sure it was some famous football player. I don't do the sports thing.
I don't do the sports. You get to stop there.
I'm sure it was one of the famous Patriots.
Oh, it was Tim Tebow, actually.
Oh, was it Tebow?
It was Tim Tebow, yeah.
He looks a little thin. Is Tebow feeling okay? Was that Photoshop? Is there an Instagram filter? I would have recognized Tim Tebow. He looked a little thin.
It was Tim Tebow, I'm pretty dang sure.
Tim, you need to eat a cheeseburger. Quit eating Giselle's macrobiotic crap.
No. You're confusing him with Tom Brady.
Oh, Tom Brady.
You really don't do the sports.
I don't do the sports. No. So there's this whole big controversy going on about Colin something or other.
Kaepernick.
And I keep calling him Kaepernick.
Just call him Cap.
Or Kirkpatrick. No, I call him Colin Kirkpatrick. And people are like, ooh, and I'm like, I don't know. The dude who's kneeling that's getting in trouble right now. Like,
do you not listen
something.
to your sister's podcast?
What's that?
Do you not listen to your sister's podcast?
I haven't in a while.
Because you apparently missed the NFL episode.
My division is getting sued. I've been having to write affidavits.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, no, like, I don't keep up on the sports, but I did notice that he was wearing the Patriots and the Super Bowl championship shirt, And it was funny because we had, of course, seen the Falcons one. On
Maybe it was Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is a Patriots quarterback and a champion. So maybe I totally blew it.
That seemed to be the one that
maybe
Eugene
it's not
reacted
the
to the most. And our I forget her name, Our Lady of Hell. Mannering definitely started to react to that, to him reacting to the Patriots winning the Super Bowl, and started to open her mouth. And of course, everyone was in the other room singing Hallelujah.
Michael, row the boat ashore.
Yeah. And
which apparently is a protest song in hell. That is the hellish version of taking a knee.
I think that there's more than one protest song in hell. But yeah, that would definitely be a good one. So yeah, that was mine.
So I would just like to say before I launch into mine, could someone who does the sports tell us, was it Tom Brady? Was it Tim Tebow? Because I'm probably not going to go back and watch this episode again. Not anytime soon, anyway.
Okay, so even if I did go watch back this episode again, I still wouldn't know. Nope.
I would pay closer attention and I would be able to tell because I know a little bit more about the sports than you do, but not that much. I think
I have said on more than one occasion on all of our podcasts that I am more than a wider shade of pale. and I'm still like, y'all country football boys, y'all look alike to me.
She makes Cassidy look ethnic.
I do. I do.
All right, so my revelation, I think Cowboy sold that little piece of soul back to the soul merchants.
Really?
I think that was him busting out of that armored vehicle at the end.
So, but was it the soul merchants or was it Hoover?
I'm not convinced he hasn't sold that little piece of soul.
Okay, so
that's my bold prediction, aka my revelation.
I think the person that was like running from the armored car at the end was Hoover.
Well, which is consistent with Hoover's, I don't like this job, I don't really want this assignment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true, definitely a possibility. But unfortunately, as Hairstar said, the smart one is busy, you're in all I've got. So, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my guess. I could be totally wrong, but it would make Cowboy invincible again. Jesse wouldn't be able to use the word against him again.
Yeah. So, are we in Rotting Potpourri?
We're in the Word, which is the preacher version of Rotting Potpourri. Yeah, let's go for it.
So, where was he?
I don't know. When they
opened the armored car, where had he gone?
I don't know, but Tulip and Cassidy are righteously pissed, and I understand why.
Because he called hell.
Did Cowboy call hell? Is that what Miss Mannerling... Okay, I was trying to figure out where her comment, Cowboy, New Orleans, or Saint of Killers, or whatever she called him. I was trying to figure out where on earth that comment came from.
Yeah, I think he made a long distance call.
He's got the hell phone. Jesse had the heaven phone. He's got the hell phone.
He's got the hell phone. Yeah. So I don't know where he is or what his plan is. Like, why hasn't he showed up?
Well, he's apparently in New Orleans. I mean, Mannering did say that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Jesse is totally trackable because he cannot stop himself from using the word.
And is the word failing him?
It looks like it did. It looks like there were a couple of stumbles right there at the end.
Yeah, when he ordered the receptionist dude to let him out of the building.
Yep.
He had to tell him like 3 times.
Yep. So I wonder what that means about Genesis.
Yeah. Yeah, like...
I mean, that obviously means something bigger about Genesis if the word is not working for Jesse as well as it did.
Right. Right. And is that a reflection on Jesse? Is that a reflection on Genesis? Is that a reflection on God? Is that a reflection on the Grail Industries?
I'm going to say it's a reflection on Jesse. Because Jesse's going down a bad road right now. So again, for an episode that we didn't really like all that much, we certainly have got a lot of discussion about it.
See, and that's why this episode actually rated higher for me than I think I regularly would have, is because it was a very meh episode, but a lot came
happened
out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So, the first scene, did it fool you?
It did. At first I thought they were pulling Cowboy up, and then of course they pulled up the wooden box instead of the ambulance or the van.
Right.
It's
got Jesse in it being tortured. He's being buried
tortured
alive
by his grandmother.
By his grandmother.
Yes. That's Marie Langell. And remember at the end, at first he's like, I'm Jesse Custer. And then at the end, he's like, I'm Jesse Langell.
Yeah.
Jesse the Angel.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a couple of questions for you. So first off, Tulip was kind of berating Jesse for why he didn't dispatch with the cowboy. And he said that he couldn't send him to hell. And I thought, how is being in hell any worse than being stuck in the back of an armored car for all eternity in a swamp?
Right. And so that was one of my questions is, so the flashback that we saw in the very beginning of Jesse being in the swamp.
That's like hell for Jesse.
Right. And so was that actually Jesse standing there thinking that as they were raising the armored car?
Oh, having a flashback?
Right. Or was that a flashback for our benefit? Was it just the audience that saw that, or was Jesse thinking about that?
Well, and it certainly made me think, so is this the same swamp? And I think it was, and I think that's where Jesse got the idea of how to dispose of the cowboy.
Not exactly the same swamp.
You don't think it was?
No, because the sign that was on the side of the building when Jesse was being, it was actually towards the end, but there might have been a flash of it in the beginning. It was the anvil.
No, it was the angel.
Angel.
Yeah, as in Langell.
Okay. So yeah, it could have been the same swamp.
So the other question that I have is, Starr said to Featherstone and Hoover, I have what Jesse wants. Does that mean he's got God?
No.
What does it mean?
Did he say that he has what he wants?
He said, I have what Jesse wants. Because he was talking about how he would basically get Jesse to comply and be the new Messiah.
I think that it was the prayers. He was hoping to convince him to somehow make amends for his father's death. Because, of course, the men that lowered Jesse in and out of the swamp had the same horseshoe star tattoo.
That Jesse has.
Right.
Yes.
And that I think his father did.
And that is on the bullet that the Saint of All Killers had.
Yes. And so I'm thinking that Harris Starr believed that I have what Jesse wants, as in, I don't know, answers or forgiveness for wishing his father dead. One of those.
Now, isn't that funny? Because the first thing I thought of was, well, what does Jesse want more than anything? He wants to find God. He wants to find God to get forgiven for wishing his father dead. So maybe you're ultimately right.
Well, and he also, the whole, we've talked about the whole, where be careful what you wish for. And, Jesse wants to find God. Well, what if they make Jesse the new God, Then he can just forgive himself, I guess.
Is that kind of like pardoning yourself? Because I don't think that's legal by the Constitution, but but that's another podcast.
So do you have Dennis's little dog back there? Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. So for those who have not met my animals on Preacher, because I think they've actually been worse for biters than they have been when we've recorded Preacher. That's my 14-year-old blind and deaf Shiba Inu, Emperor Yamamoto, who is insisting that he needs something that I'm not giving him. And of course, husband is working nights, so... Which,
that's something, I'm not kidding, is either being let up onto a piece of furniture or let down off of a piece of furniture.
Pretty much. I think at this point he sounds like he's on the level, so I think he probably wants to either go back up or go outside.
He's like an emperor of a dynasty. He does not put out any effort. His feet do not touch the floor.
Okay, I look at it this way. Dude's 14 years old. He came to us with a ginormous tumor on his chest at the age of 12. He gets a pass.
I love him. I love him. And Diane, out of pity, turned him into a vampire so that she wouldn't have to deal with him.
You were not supposed to tell anybody that. And aren't you the one who turns people into vampires, Cassidy? I just called the cabal to make sure that they felt that Yami had the right temperament.
He was in Juneau, to be fair. I may have turned him into a vampire. I don't know. I have had 3 Heritage Coffee Browns tonight. Anything can happen. And a Lunesta. So,
my God. You're such a bad patient.
Diane's like, how do you podcast doing all this? I'm like, hey, I don't even swear.
Right.
Like, I don't have kids, and I'm not swearing, so I'm totally under my own faculties.
I just want to say before I turn the page, everyone knows you can't trust Hitler.
You can't trust Hitler.
All right. What else do you have?
So, have we found our prayer signs, our church signs? Are they popping back up again?
Okay, so what did So I texted you one.
Diane messaged me one, and I was like, huh? And I rewatched it, and I was like, I get it.
So the message was, please don't get semen on the fur?
Yes.
Okay, so what were the other signs?
So when Jesse runs back to the room where the man dog was on the chain, that he and Tulip and Cassidy encountered, and they were like, this isn't God. Turns out it really, really was God.
Right.
There's a sign in the background that says, please do not get semen on the fur. And so my other ones were in the background during the guy who was going to smelt down the revolvers, the St. Paul Killer revolvers. He had a sign on the wall that says, we reserve the right to refuse service to, and I will say the one we can say, arseholes. We reserve the right to refuse service to arseholes. But on the outside of his business, when Tulip and Laura Featherstone were sitting there talking, I loved the advertisement for his sign. It says, you dealt it, we smelt it.
Right? I saw that one.
So there have been some funny signs. I think we've replaced our funny church signs with signs that are in the background.
I do miss our funny church signs.
I do too.
What else?
So, were you listening to Jesse's prayers?
They were sad.
They kind of were.
I really kind of felt like a voyeur, and I felt like I was violating Jesse a little bit by listening to his prayers.
There was a funny one.
Which one was that?
You want to hear the funny one?
Yes.
Lord, please forgive me for hitting Donnie on the playground, even though he deserved it.
Yes! I loved that.
Oh, the return of Donnie.
Yes.
And you were still getting punched in the nose.
Donnie. We miss your perverted little soul.
Yeah.
I wonder why we haven't seen Donnie and his wife in hell.
No.
That would have been a nice return.
Do you think Donnie and his wife went to heaven by mistake? I mean, Eugene's in hell.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they will be what gets Eugene out of hell.
Maybe they're dressing as Toto or Dorothy and the Tin Man and faking each other in heaven.
So I'm just remembering Donnie's kid. Pray for me, preacher.
Oh, he's dead.
Nice.
Yeah, so there was a lot packed into this episode.
I agree. And I had to laugh, so I think it was Tulip who was ranting. They're all imbeciles, Jesse. Jesus, Buddha, the president?
Yep. Yep, I did catch that.
So I thought the other thing that was really sad was Hitler's comment to Eugene that the reason that he keeps going back to that moment in his past as his personal hell was that was the last time he was good.
Yeah. That was very sad.
And, I mean, it really does have the horrible, horrible host of days. He's insulted by people that he later abuses, homosexuals, Jews, communists. He's dumped by his girl. He's disappointed in his art. And there is no plum cake left.
Oh, I can't imagine that would be the worst day of his life, but I could see how
he would think it was the worst day of his life.
Yeah, it was the turning point in his life.
It is interesting what we as human beings living on the earth see as traumas and triggers and what we accept as perfectly normal.
Right.
So, I can see that would be the worst day of his life, even though you and I would be like, it's a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so did you notice that he dropped their one F-bomb of the season? Their permissible F-bomb?
I did.
Yes.
Yes, when he is trying to get everyone's attention to hell, he drops the F-bomb. I am M&F-er Hitler. Yep. We've talked about this on our Fear the Walking Dead podcast because AMC, it kind of allows you 2 F-bombs a season, and it was huge headlines when Fear the Walking Dead
dropped their first.
Yeah. And, this episode, Preacher dropped one of their F-bombs.
Before.
But I think it was because it was after the Dirty Little Secrets episode. They were like,
hush,
the
hush.
F-word really isn't that big of a deal.
Let's not talk about that. Well, so did you find numbers?
So I found numbers, but no numbers that we had not seen before because we were at the 25th grandson of Jesus Christ. We were in Munich 1919. We had all of the prisoner numbers of all of the people in hell. And then the last number that I found was the license plate number for the Soul Happy Go-Go armored vehicle, which I think we've all discussed before.
I think we talked about that before. I found a few that we hadn't discussed.
Okay.
They were really reaching, so bear with me. So you're right. We looked at Tyler's number in hell, which is 72, so I didn't repeat that. I did look up the number for 50's hair because we haven't looked at her number, which is 55.
Oh, good.
And that is supposedly representative of independence and personal freedom.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not sure where that falls, but there you go. Also, Hair Star makes the joke about a 5-star buffet.
I didn't see that.
Catch that?
No.
So I actually wrote the line down. Not that I'm going to be able to find it in my notes now. Something about a buffet breakfast in a 5-star hotel. And I wrote it down because it was kind of funny in the context. And of course, I didn't write down the context. So there you go. But the number 5 is God's grace, goodness, and favor towards humans. And there are 5 books of God's law: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And they are referred to as the Pentateuch.
Interesting.
Right? So, I mean, again, I don't think I found anything that was really all that great. I did go back and write down some of the interesting historical things that happened in 1919, which is the year that is associated with Hitler's hellscape. Mussolini founded the Fascist Party in Italy. There was a spate of anarchist bombings in the United States. UCLA opened. The American Communist Party was established. And how freaky is this? Because we're recording on the 13th of October. So on the 16th of October of that year, Hitler gave his first speech to the German Workers' Party, which later became the Nazi Party.
Oh, wow.
And prohibition was authorized in the United States. So you and your Heritage Brown need to stop. For people who don't know, Heritage is a coffee shop. I'm assuming Heritage Brown is a special ale for the season.
Yes.
Okay.
We have an amazing beer brewery called Alaskan Brewery.
Yeah, we actually have a world-class brewery in Juneau.
We do. In fact, the Heritage Brown just won gold.
Nice.
It is our coffee beer. We lovingly sometimes refer to it as Buzz Beer. So any of you Drew Carey fans out there will get that. Because it's our coffee house and our brewery getting together to do a nut brown ale based
with
on
coffee.
Their coffee. Yeah.
Very good.
So,
let's see a couple of other numbers. So, Hairstar made a reference to 78 billion, and I think it was 78 billion people praying or 78 billion prayers over the course of the years.
Right. Over since basically, they started recording.
And the number 78 in the Bible, according to one of the sites I looked at, represents Belial, who is a personification of the devil who danced in front of King Solomon.
Ah.
Okay, two more. So he also referenced 100,000 little old ladies over the course of 100 years. And I can't remember exactly what context that was in. But according to the Gospel of Barnabas, 100,000 is the number of times Michael strikes Satan with his sword at the end of time. And 100 years is used as a multiplier, and it represents the glory that comes from grace. So I don't think any of those were particularly amazing in terms of numbers for, as far as they correspond to the Bible and the series. But there you go. That was our numbers corner for the week.
So continuing a little bit with the symbolism and Bible study, for some reason I kept flashing on the daffodils in Hitler's hell.
Oh, really?
Every table and every countertop in Hitler's hell had a yellow daffodil.
So I always associate daffodils with Easter. Is that what you came up with?
Well, in the Bible, the daffodil is Narcissus. Okay. Astonishment, stupidity. So, let's see. Webster's Unabridged Revised Dictionary, a beautiful fable to have been enamored in his own image and who have been changed into a flower called Narcissus.
Oh, sure. Narcissus was a Greek myth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I kept saying, and I don't know if that meant anything or anything, but Hitchcock's Bible called daffodils Narcissus, and they were associated with astonishment and stupidity, and so they kept reoccurring in Hitler's hell.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I don't know if that meant anything or anything. If that just we get here locally, our Rotarians do a daffodils days where you can buy, a dozen daffodils for like $10 or something, and all the money goes to the Rotarians and everything that they do and that kind of thing. So I don't know. Like, for some reason, I kept flashing on the daffodils. Like, every scene in Hitler's Hell had daffodils in it. So I don't know, because I couldn't find any numbers, so I was trying to just grasp at straw.
So I will say one other thing about not necessarily numbers, but things that we've kind of talked about before. Did you notice that huge bank of clocks above Hairstar's desk?
That's been there before, yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about clocks and the symbolism of clocks a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got anything else?
Other than that, I just really, 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 really dug Tulip's leather jacket this episode.
Tulip has the good clothes.
Oh, dear God. That studded leather jacket? Yeah. I'm like going to have to stalk the set designer or the costume designer for this episode and be like, I need that jacket. I love that jacket.
I think that we should send Seth Rogen his t-shirt and say, in exchange, we expect the jacket.
Yeah. Give us the jacket or we will have Sarah Palin mean tweet you until your end of days. Yeah. So I think that is all that I had.
I think that's about all I had too,
Yeah.
which again, we got quite a bit out of an episode that neither one of us was particularly thrilled with.
Yeah, it was a very set up episode. I think what we've got 2 more to go.
Yep.
Yeah. So
2 or 3. Now I'm thinking.
actually
I think we've got.
is
Okay, go ahead.
On Your Knees and then The End of the Road.
Oh, so we only have 2. So they did 13 episodes.
Yeah, so it's funny. We started with On the Road and we're ending on The End of the Road.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get this wrapped up as we're gliding into the new season of Walking Dead, excuse me, and Talking Dead. But
Walking Dead, yeah. You can join Brian and I for the season premiere episode of The Walking Dead Prime. In the meantime, you can listen to Diane and I do the Walking Dead season finale.
Fear the Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead. That one.
Yeah.
The other one.
The other one.
The other one.
The lesser of the 2. I just said that.
Or you can go over to Capes and Lunatics on YouTube, like their Facebook page, subscribe to their channel on YouTube, and you can actually see Tulip and Cassidy in live and living color. We did the SMG podcast marathon this last weekend and had an absolute blast.
It was a lot of fun.
We did, yeah. So we talked a lot about the upcoming season 8 of The Walking Dead, and we talked a little bit about recapping Preacher.
And Preacher season 3.
And Preacher season 3 upcoming. They are confirmed filming for November and January. AMC has not renewed yet, but that does not mean that there will not be new Preacher episodes via Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime.
So Marnell has this theory.
CBS All Access.
Right.
Yes, that they're doing to Star Trek Discovery. Yeah. What's my theory?
I was just going to say your theory is that some other platform is going to buy Preacher.
It could be. It could be. You know, originally I did not think that Preacher was meant for primetime viewing. I expected it to be Hulu's, Netflix, Amazon Prime, someplace you could show boobies.
Well, they're certainly going other places.
So, yeah. So, the scuttlebutt, at least with us...
She said scuttlebutt.
That we've been able to determine is that we are definitely having a season 3 in some sort of connotation or some sort of iteration of it. Not entirely sure about a season 4, but it would not shock me to get picked up someplace else.
It would shock me.
Really?
Yeah.
I think there are way lesser series out there.
Oh, I do too. You know I love this series. This is a very rare podcast for me to say that I was not happy with an episode of Preacher.
But no, there's a lot lesser series out there that got picked up by alternative streaming sources.
And yet we only had one season of Firefly.
Yeah, but we didn't have streaming services back then.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that places like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime and even your CBS All Access BS Star Trek Discovery are coming into their time and place. You know,
we love you, Cindy Martin Green. We miss you.
We do. We're coming into a time and place that we are going to start paying a la carte for the shows that we want to watch, not the 280 channels that have nothing on them. So, you know, you can start paying for some of those, you know, Hulu and Netflix and things like that and get the things that you really want to see. Like I said, my area does not get AMC. I have to buy these per episode. I do this purely out of the love of the shows that I watch. So I'm okay with that, you know, and I still pay for my cable. And for now, you know, cable's got to keep up, you know. Fixer Upper and Property Brothers just aren't doing it for me anymore.
I'm sighing because Nick watches so much bad D movie TV. Ugh.
I love bad D movie TV.
Oh my god, you too.
Give me some Gilbert Godfrey, USA, Up All Night, 80s.
Oh my god.
Like avocado Amazon women, you know, cannibals.
Oh
like,
my god,
yeah.
You and he are like long lost siblings. Holy shit.
I love it.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
I'm the one who's taking the sleeping pill and has the 3 beers, and she's the one swearing.
Yeah, I'm the one who needs the sleeping pill. So it is time, Cass.
It's time.
Till the end of the world?
Till the end of the world.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Have a good week. Good night.
Good night.
Left his body in the woods, and I took off running south. I left his body